A pattern shift heading our way. Cooler temperatures, rain and snow. We're tracking it all. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. And so topping our weather headlines, we're still going to see some areas of patchy fog heading into the work and school week. Then gusty winds kind of eroding some of that fog and limiting it largely to the east side of the valley. Then we're tracking the rain chances making a return, as well as snow for the Sierra. You can catch all the updates with our weather playlist and in-depth forecast on ABC 10 Plus. We encourage you to download that, where we'll keep you ahead of these pattern changes and any impacts we'll be seeing this week. Increasing dry winds will be starting off our work week forecast because of this weather pattern shift. We've got a high pressure ridge building in. It's been basically in control of our weather, but a low just off to the east of us here. Those two weather patterns, they don't tend to agree so much, so we get those northwest winds, and that'll again largely be creating the impacts of minimizing the fog in the forecast. You can see how they're starting to unfold throughout tonight into early Monday morning, mainly on the west side of the valley where we'll see the strongest gusts. So there's I-5 corridor here, and mainly just west of that is where we'll see that, and north of I-80. We'll still see some gusty winds periodically throughout the foothills and the Sierra, but that won't develop until later on in the day. Then those winds start to back off into our Tuesday, and we'll once again be facing periods of patchy, dense fog. So our visibility will be mostly restricted on the east side of the valley, where we have less access to those dry north winds. Expect to see some patchy, dense fog, especially along Highway 99 for the morning commute. And then things will start to back off as we head into the afternoon. Again, once we start to see those winds, they're dry winds, and they tend to erode that fog pretty quickly here. Now, our overall pattern change heads our way during the middle and end of the week as that storm track starts to move its way southward. We've got a lot brewing in the Pacific, and that's going to help to kind of minimize and weaken that high pressure ridge, which has been contributing to poor air quality, patchy dense fog, and just a real stable environment. Now we're starting to see more unsettled weather potentially in the forecast, mainly in the form of cooler weather, as well as the chance for showers. We need to kind of get things going here for the month of December. This month, we haven't seen any precipitation. The season off to a good start, over 4 inches of rain. So we're still ahead of where we would normally be at this point in the year, but our departures are going to start to grow. We're already down for the month of December. For the water year, which starts October 1st, we're still about a ½ an inch ahead of normal, and that's largely true through the northern part of the state. Southern part of the state, we didn't really get the benefits of those first significant atmospheric rivers coming through for the season, so we're a little bit more on the deficit side here through Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Diego, even Stockton and Modesto. We didn't really see the weather systems that have come through poised to dump a lot of rain in those areas. It was mostly through Northern California. Not totally a bad situation given that our largest reservoirs are there. But you can see by the month of December through January and February, that's where we get 50% of our annual precipitation. We did really well in November. It's just now we need to kind of get things going a little bit in December. It's not much of a concern until we get deeper into January. And our snow water equivalent still looking quite healthy here throughout the Sierra. Northern Sierra over 200% of average to date, 99% for Central Sierra, and then the Southern Sierra over 150% of average to date. So we're statewide still looking very good, 134% of average to date. But if we weren't to get anything else, that April 1st number where we usually start to see our snow melt happening more than our snowfall is only 18% of average. But we do have this pattern flip coming. By the end of the week and the weekend, we're seeing valley rain and Sierra snow back in the forecast. So we're all needing to dig out that rain gear. Once again, the umbrellas, the rain boots, the rain gear, have it on hand, especially if you're headed out to do some errands or perhaps you're traveling into the high country. Get ready for some more winter-like travel potentially this weekend. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. And as you can see, there's a lot brewing in the Pacific here. Each one of these systems will weaken our high pressure ridge. It's not until the middle and end of the week that we start to see this moisture impacting us ever so slightly, because the storm track will be favoring areas just to the south of us. So that's going to help to draw in more of these weather systems through Northern California than, say, what's been happening here recently, where they've been bypassing California and going through the Pacific Northwest. But even at that high pressure ridge occasionally has been quite strong, bumping that storm track into Canada. The only thing I will say is there's still inconsistencies with the weather models. I just wanted to show you two of them. The GFS paints a much wetter picture by the time we get to Thursday into Friday. Snow for the Sierra, rain for much of the valley all the way through central California, whereas the European model is saying a little bit on the drier side. Still some snow for the Sierra, some patchy rain throughout the valley, but not as much of an impact storm coming our way. So in terms of the weather changes, I broke it into two different columns here. Moderate to high confidence that we will see showers this week, cooler temperatures, and minimal impacts. Now we have lower confidence just mainly because of the discrepancies in those two weather models, and even all weather models when we include them. The shower timing, Thursday through the weekend, plus the precise location, the duration, how long will this pattern shift last, and the totals for rain and snow. Those particular details will start to become more clear as the week unfolds. The other thing, I just wanted to give you a heads up on this, is that the 8 to 14-day climate outlook for temperatures is now shifting to a much likely warmer scenario. And as far as the likely wetter scenario, that's starting to move its way more towards the coast and up towards the Pacific Northwest, whereas a likely drier setup starting to take shape throughout central and southern California, again, by the middle and end of December. So it's going to be very interesting what happens here as we dig a little bit closer to the winter solstice, just 13 days away. And then we've got Christmas Day and Hanukkah, 17 days away, 24 days away from ringing in the new year. To start us off for this new work and school week, highs will be near 40 for the Sierra with upper 50s to low 60s throughout the foothills. Still a chilly start to the day. Again, some patchy fog, especially for the lower foothills and the upper valley on the east side. 60s along the coast and for inland areas. We'll start the morning off with patches of dense fog. Morning lows in the 30s, highs warming to the upper 50s to low 60s. This is going to be a bit cooler than where we've been, certainly through the weekend, where we had highs in the low to mid, even upper 60s for some parts of the valley. Unsettled weather developing for the mountains by Thursday into Friday, and we'll see that as well throughout the foothills, with highs starting to cool ever so slightly. For the coast, we've got a mix of sun and clouds, some patchy fog, and areas of some showers in there for the forecast. We'll see that in our 3-day forecast with mainly dry conditions and some cool overnight lows. Tuesday morning, we start off at about 35 degrees. The lack of wind really showcasing how quickly will cool conditions without the wind keeping that warmer air closer to the surface. Then by Thursday, the unsettled weather starts to arrive. That takes us through the upcoming weekend. Early next week, we'll start to dry things out, it appears, and slowly start to warm things up. So again, a lot to continue to monitor here for this work week forecast as we see a more significant pattern shift.